Okay, I think we're ready. Good morning, good morning. Oh, let's see what I need here. Oh, good morning. It's our second show in January. The month is blowing by. Come on in, take a seat. We got kind of a cool show for you today, I think. Of course, I always think. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. Sometimes I don't care. So I'm going to start out before we get into the meat of the sermon today. And just going to play a song and... 9 o'clock down Old Church Street, standing outside where we always meet. Air is chill, now it's early fall. You're never late, so I'm expecting you to call. Last I laid eyes, you were standing there. I traced my thumb right across your tear. I promised it would all be okay. It would all work out somehow, some way. Lily, oh Lily, come round midnight. Nothing left but our pleas. We're just clinging to that thread of life. Lily, oh Lily, one last kiss. It's time to leave. Cup of Joe down at our favorite place. Some things change, not this old cafe, or the way you always smiled at me. Made me doubt why I had leave. How I've come to hate this old town. It's the memories it brings round. Sad to say you can't go back again. 1,000 tries and we ain't ever gonna win. Lily, oh Lily, come round midnight. Nothing left but our pleas. We're just clinging to that thread of life. Lily, oh Lily, one last kiss. It's time to leave. Turned my coat as I walked away. I never had a notion to stay. Just want to see you one more time. I needed to know that you were doing fine. Lily, oh Lily, come round midnight. Nothing left but our pleas. We're just clinging to that thread of light. Lily, oh Lily, one last kiss. It's time to leave. Lily, That's a tune called Lily. That's from the first record, Who's Fooling Who? Um, One of the few kind of city name checking songs. I think it may be the only one I've ever actually written. I always wanted to write a song about somewhere local, and so that song name checks Church Street down in Frederick. And it is a true story. Like so many songs, it is autobiographical. So anyway, good morning. Come on in, take a seat, and let's talk about what's going on in the grand world today. Today is January 9th, which is a day after a fairly important day in all sorts of reasons in history. And I think we're going to kind of jump around on some of them. But the first thing I'd like to mention, and I think is pretty significant, is January 8th. So we're going to really, this whole show today is going to be more about January 8th than it is about the 9th. But it's Sunday service, and while I considered making it Saturday service, I think I had maybe just one or two adult beverages and decided that that wasn't the time to do a special show. So anyway, I am, here to do the Lord's work, as it were, and I want to talk about an important date, January 8th in history. And because it dovetails pretty closely with what we're going through in America right now in a lot of ways. And on January 8th in 1815, David Bowie's birthday. That is correct, Bonnie. Good morning. And yes, we've got at least one Bowie tune queued up for you. It's Elvis's birthday on the 8th, which, no disrespect to David, but there are kings and there are princes, and I don't think we know who the king is. Anyway, back to the War of 1812. So on January 8th in 1815 was the infamous Battle of New Orleans that basically settled the War of 1812, which has been called by some historians the Second War for Independence. And I don't think many people understand that, a very, very short while, 36 years to be exact, 36 years, that is not a very long time. And 36 years after we signed the Declaration of Independence, we were in a fight for our independence yet again. And what happened was that basically the British were trying to limit the U.S.'s expansion, trade expansion. They had sided with, I don't know if siding's a good word, but they had enlisted the aid of some of the tribes, particularly at Tecumseh, the very famous Indian chief who was trying to prevent the then U.S., as it was, from expanding westward and taking the Indian lands. So they basically threw in with the British to fight the U.S. And all of this came over, shipping and the import. As many of you know, hopefully, New Orleans is absolutely crucial to our existence. To this day, is crucial to our existence in terms of getting goods quickly and effectively into the country. Things come in through the port of New Orleans, and then it's easy. It's pretty much centered in the country, and you can go either direction relatively quickly, whether by train or truck or however you choose to do that. So New Orleans has always been critical. So the Battle of New Orleans, which actually took place in Chalmette, Louisiana, was a very famous battle, and in large part because it was a bit of an insurrection. The dovetail. Here's how we tie in. A bit of an insurrection. So the sitting U.S. government that had been recognized and put in place was fighting for its independence yet again, and fighting the British, who were trying to, overtake the Americans once again, and the Indians who were thrown in with them. We have recently had our own insurrection, and you can stand on whatever platform you want to stand on, but this is probably a good time to leave this church if you, for some reason, think that January 6th of 2021 was not an insurrection. If you think that it was not an attempt to stop the due process of an election, anybody that diminishes that, who makes less of it, who tries to excuse it in any way, shape, or form, is, as far as I'm concerned, a terrorist and certainly not a patriot. You can delude yourself in whatever way you want. This is not a ideal government. It's not a perfect government. It's not a perfect system. It's got a lot of things wrong with it. But I don't think that band of miscreants who tried to stop the election process are exactly the people you want leading the country. It would have been interesting, I think, if we could play this as a chess game to let them go and take over the country and see what the hell they would have done. A bunch of freaking morons. Anyway, led by the chief moron who we know. And I do want to, I want to dovetail a bit over to another kind of related thing, and just I'd like to heap some praise on Joe Biden. Whatever he's done or not done in his administration, I applaud him for finally standing up and calling Trump out for what he is, and appreciate that. I think he did a good job on his speech the other day. Anyway, so the War of 1812. Here's the thing that I find most interesting about this battle. And it speaks to war in general in a different sense. Andrew Jackson fought off the British successfully and effectively ended the War of 1812 as far as the fighting was concerned. The official end of the war, I believe, was somewhere mid-February, maybe like February 18th. But the truth is, because we don't have, there was no internet in 1812 or email or cell phones or the like, they had actually signed a treaty 2 weeks or so prior to the Battle of New Orleans. So the British lost a tremendous amount of men in that battle. There is no exaggeration to say that the American forces whooped their ass. And so they didn't have to lose those lives, which is really, again, kind of the shame of war and people trying to control that kind of stuff. So anyway, I thought I have not, I think I did this once before. I could have possibly done it on this date a year ago. Who knows? But let's try it again. Let me switch this around a little bit. I do have the cheat sheet here because, yes, I do not have a clue without it. Well, that's not true. I will say that some of us of a certain age kind of grew up with this song as kind of a history lesson. 1814, we took a little trip on Colonel Jackson and the mighty Mississippi. Took a little bacon and we took a little beans, and we fought the bloody British in the town of New Orleans. Fired our guns and the British kept a coming. Wasn't quite as many as there was a while ago. Got our bow and they began to run down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Up down the river and we seen the British come. Well, there must have been 100 of them beating on the drum. They stepped so high and they made their bugles ring, and we stood beside our cotton bales and didn't say a thing. Fired our guns and the British kept a coming. Wasn't quite as many as there was a while ago. Fired once more and they began to run down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Old Hickory said we could take them by surprise if we didn't fire muskets till we looked them in the eyes. Held our fire till we seen their faces well, and we opened up our swirls and we really gave them well. Fired our guns and the British kept a coming. There wasn't quite as many as there was a while ago. Fired once more and they began to run down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, they ran through the bramble and they ran through the briar, and they ran through the bushes where a rabbit wouldn't go. Ran so fast the hounds couldn't catch him, down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Fired our cannons and barrels melted down. Wait, didn't get that right. Let me try again. Fired our cannons till the barrels melted down, and we grabbed an alligator and fought another round. Filled his head with cannonballs and powdered his behind, and when we touched the powder off, the gator lost his mind. Fired our guns and the British kept a coming. Wasn't quite as many as there was a while ago. Fired once more and they began to run down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, they ran through the bramble and they ran through the... That is not... I keep saying that backwards. I'm going to do it right for you. Yeah, they ran through the briars and they ran through the bramble and they ran through the bushes where a rabbit couldn't go. Ran so fast the hounds couldn't catch him. Down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Fired our guns and the British kept a coming. Wasn't quite as many as there was a while ago. Fired once more and they began to run down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. Down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. All right, well, first of all, that was way too low for me. Whew! Way too low. But way too low, and good God. You know, that's kind of an interesting song. I think, as I recall again on this, I think, oh man, I think Jimmy Dean did it first under the name of Jimmy Driftwood. That was before he was Jimmy Dean, and before, you know, and I think because Jimmy Driftwood sausage just doesn't sound all that good. But Johnny Horton had the most, I think, successful version of that song, and the one that most of us know. And the thing about it is, there are essentially three parts to the song, melody-wise, and the changes are so simple, subtle, that it's easy to screw up if you don't know and you're not familiar. And since that's not a song that I play a whole lot, I am definitely not familiar with that. So today's a lot of songs that I don't play a whole lot. Speaking of which, let's do this one. So anyway, let's hope the current crop of folks who would like to overthrow this government meet the same ultimate end of defeat. As my dear friend Bonnie here said, it's David Bowie's birthday yesterday. And man, it's there's so many Bowie songs, but not all of them simple. And while I think David was an incredible artist, writer, songwriter, vocalist, it's funny, apparently he did not care much for his vocals, which I thought was so distinctive. And I remember as a kid, I bought the Hunky Dory record, and I think it was my first time trying to come to terms with the kind of androgyny that Bowie presented at that point in time. And I bought the record because he looked like Lauren Bacall, and I was a big Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall fan. So, you know, the front of the record, and more so the back of the record. On the back of the record, Hunky Dory, the American version, I don't know what the original UK release looked like. Bowie was standing there, shot kind of from a low profile up, so he looked, you know, extremely tall, and he had on these high-waisted baggy pants and his long blonde hair, and he looked like Lauren Bacall. And so I bought the record largely on that. I don't think I had heard Space Oddity. I had heard Changes, but that record and the imagery that came with that totally changed my world for a long time. I remember I traded my good friend Regina. Oh yeah. I traded my friend Regina for a dress that I wore at the time over my jeans. Not, you know, didn't have good legs. So, but as we were all hippies, I wore this kind of button down t-shirt jersey kind of dress, bare chested over my jeans, and barefooted, of course, and never wore shoes, which is really weird. Like I don't think I could go more than across the street, and that would be a lot of oohs and ahs to get there. But I wore this dress over in large part, and I grew my hair. Well, I'd already had long hair at that point, so I had some vision of trying to mimic Bowie on Hunky Dory. And then, of course, when Bowie cut his hair, I didn't go red or do that. But Bowie, you know, there was a correlation between Bowie and Rod with the kind of spiky hair, and so, you know, I wanted that spiky hair. And when I did finally cut my my long hair, that's what I went into, a shag that, you know, all stuck up. I have absolutely no pictures of those days. I do have a long hair picture or two, but none of the shag that came after that. But anyway, So this is a Bowie song. Yes, yes, Bonnie. I would be nice to have a picture of that. I wish I had one. Let me turn this sound off here. Else we'll keep getting these like little dings going. So anyway, I want to play this song, which I play a lot with the band. It was always been a favorite song of the way Bowie did it. It is not a Bowie song, actually, but I think it's more closely associated with him than anybody. With your long blonde hair and your eyes are blue, only thing I ever got from you was sorrow. Sorrow. You're acting funny, trying to spend my money. You're out there playing your high-class games of sorrow. Sorrow. When you never do what you know you ought to. Something tells me you're the devil's daughter. Sorrow. Sorrow. Well, I tried to find her 'cause I can't resist her. Never knew just how much I missed her. Sorrow. Sorrow. With your long blonde hair and your eyes are blue, the only thing I ever got from you was sorrow. Sorrow. With your long blonde hair, I couldn't sleep last night. With your long blonde hair. With your long blonde hair. All right, Sorrow, my little homage to Mr. Bowie. Yeah, everybody, that was the thing. Boys and girls all got in on the Bowie thing. Yeah. Oh, we got a little out of tune here. What's wrong with this? I think it must be time to change these strings because this guitar normally stays in tune pretty well, but not behaving too well today. So anyway, yes, David would have been 75. Ruh-roh, what's going on here? Wow, uh-oh. I think my tuner's gone kaput. There we go, maybe. David would have been 75, which is pretty remarkable. When he passed away, and of course, I guess none of us saw him like when he passed away, but in the time around when he passed away, you know, at 69, he looked pretty damn good. And a sad loss, but a tremendous, a tremendous catalog. Holy mackerel! Some of these guys, I was just talking. I refer to posting shit on Facebook as talking. I was just posting about my buds over at Americana Highways had posted a letter that Mick Jagger had written to Andy Warhol about doing the cover of their greatest hits record when Mick was 26. And I responded, yeah, 26, and you already have a greatest hits record. I mean, Beatles, obviously the same thing. Hell, I think, Beatles probably had, double record worth of hits by the time they were 26. All right. So the other, I will have to say that, these iconic people do have an impact, but the one who took me places was Elvis, and Elvis's impact on me. I think in so many ways. I think the movies. Elvis taught us how to be cool, how to be courteous, how to treat a lady. Elvis taught us a lot of stuff. Unknowingly, when you were a young, impressionable mind, Elvis certainly taught you a lot of stuff. So. Let's do a few Elvis tunes, kind of pay a little homage to the king. Gave a letter to the postman, put it in his sack. Bright and early next morning, brought my letter back. He wrote upon return sender, address unknown, no such number, no such zone. We had a quarrel, all of us back. Alright, I'm sorry, but my letter keeps coming back. So then I dropped it in the mailbox, sent it special D. Bright and early next morning, came right back to me. She wrote upon return to sender, address unknown, no such person, or no such zone. This time I'm gonna take it myself and put it right in her hand. If it comes back the very next day, well then I'll understand. Writing on it, return sender, address unknown, no such number, oh, no such zone. Return sender, return sender, return sender, return sender. All right. Oh, yes. Elvis. I think I struggle with where this should be. I crossed that out, so I'm going to trust my instincts on this one and see where we go. I remember there is a plan, whether it happens or not. So there's still a bunch of tracks left over from the duets sessions. And the reason there are tracks left over is because the 5 or so tracks that are left over do not fit the country motif. So when I was compiling the record, I realized that I had, this handful of 9, I think there were, songs that fit the country vibe. And so we ended up putting out the Come On Over Honky Tonk sessions. But there are 5 songs left, and I've always wanted to do The Lady Loves Me, which was from Viva Las Vegas, and Viva Las Vegas being probably one of the the better known Elvis songs. So Red Light City gonna set my soul on fire. I got a whole lot of money that's ready to burn, so get those stakes up high. Well, there's 1,000 pretty women waiting out there. They're all living devil may care. I'm just a devil with a love to spare. Viva Las Vegas, Viva Las Vegas. How I wish that there were more than 24 hours in a day. 'Cause even if there were 40 more, I wouldn't sleep a minute away. Over the blackjack and poker and a roulette wheel. Fortune won and lost on every deal. All you need is strong heart and nerves of steel. Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas with your neon flashing and your one-of-ones crashing. All those hopes and dreams. Viva Las Vegas, turning day into night, turning night into daytime. Say it once, never be the same again. I'll keep on running, I'm gonna have me some fun. If it costs me my very last dime, and if I wind up broke, well, that's okay. I'll remember I had a swinging time. And when we give it everything I got, lady, look, please let the dice stay hot. Let me shoot a 7 with every shot. Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas! Viva! Viva! Las Vegas! God, man, there were all sorts of fuck-ups in there. Oh, sorry, it's church! All sorts of gaffes. Anyway, I should probably practice these songs and play them a little bit more, but I tend to play them only on commemorative times. So let's do one more Elvis, which again I have not done in many, many moons, so we'll see how it goes. But it is Sunday service, and I'd like to do at least one Elvis gospel song. We'll see how it goes. Born in the heat of the desert, mother died giving me life. For the love of a father, blame for the loss of his wife. Lord, I've been in a prison, something that I never done. Been one hell after the other, climbed them all one by one. Oh, this time, Lord, you gave me a mountain that I may never climb. It isn't, Lord, a hill any longer. Gave me a mountain this time. Woman got tired of the hardship, tired of the grief and the strife. Tired of working for nothing, tired of being my wife. Took my one ray of sunshine, took my pride and my joy, took my reason for living, took my small baby boy. Oh, but this time, Lord, you gave me a mountain that I may never climb. It isn't, Lord, a hill any longer. Gave me a mountain this time. Gave me a mountain this time. All right. A little nod to Elvis there. And grateful that the King brought so much joy, so much music, broke so many barriers. There's so much that we got that we owe to the King. So I want to do one more song for you, and I'm going to leave you with this. This is a song that I do quite often these days. But so I was on my way to yeah, I could do that because Elvis did that song too. But that's such a sad song. I don't think I want to do another sad song. I was on my way to Nashville this week for the Justin Townes Earl tribute show at the Ryman, and circumstances caused me to cancel my trip. And then, fortunately, because part of the decision to cancel the trip was just COVID was raging wild, and yeah, I mean, I've heard everybody, oh, it's not that bad. It's like the cold. Well, it is that bad for some people. Some people are getting long haul syndrome from just getting Omicron. And so, you still want to avoid this thing if you can avoid it, is what it boils down to. And I think that people are selling it short by diminishing it. And there's also this, which I find kind of funny. There is this whole thought process that this is how we're going to achieve herd immunity because so many people are going to get Omicron. And to me, that's just, now I'm not a scientist, so this is just a gut feeling, but I would like to have a conversation with a scientist to disprove my gut theory. And it really, it's like, I just think it's bullshit, because if we were going to achieve herd immunity, there's so many people who have had all three of the variants, the original COVID-19, Delta and Omicron. There are many people who have had Delta and Omicron. So if you're immune, I mean, I think the one thing we know with this thing is that immunity is not lasting. So, I think we need to put aside this notion that there's herd immunity coming. There is a better chance, and there are some people who think that Omicron is a weakening of the virus and it may burn itself out. And that's, that is certainly, I think, a possibility that eventually. I think we're still 3 years out. My gut tells me that this is a 5-year experience and that we're still 3 years out before we get to a place where we can say that we're done with this on any level. So anyway, so I didn't go down to the show. The show didn't happen, which is, I'm kind of grateful for. They postponed it till next year, so I hope to be in Nashville on January 4th of 2023, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. But in the meantime, the 4th of January was would have been Justin's 40th birthday. And so if y'all don't mind, I'm going to do this song. I'm going uptown to the Harlem River to drown. Dirty water gonna cover me over. I'm not gonna make a sound. I'm on the road, mama, I gotta go. I gotta get there while I still can. Troubled days are behind me now. I know they're gonna let me in. So when you see me walking up the FDR, just a singing and a clapping my hands, tell my mama I love her, tell my father I try, give my money to my baby to spend. Lord, I'm going uptown to the Harlem River to drown. Dirty water gonna cover me over. I'm not gonna make a sound. Good times come and they go. Even a good man will break. He'll let his troubles bury him whole, even though he knows what's at stake. So I'm taking no chances, carrying over while I'm still good in his grace. Well, I'm no fool, Mama, I know the difference between tempting and choosing my fate. Lord, I'm going uptown to the Harlem River to drown. Dirty water gonna cover me over, and I'm not gonna make a sound. But I'm going uptown to the Harlem River to drown. Dirty water gonna cover me over, and I'm not gonna make a sound. But I'm going uptown to the Harlem River to drown. Dirty water gonna cover me over, and I'm not gonna make a sound. All right, thank you so much for listening, Bonnie. Good to see you here. Hope you're doing well out there. Thank you guys for being around. And I will see you next week, and we'll do it yet again. And I'll tell you about some of the up and coming happenings and things going on when I see you next week. Till then, take good care of yourselves and stay sane.